You need to find the cause within yourself that causes you to take the action. Now, while you're busy punishing yourself and blaming yourself, you're not looking at the cause. Does that make sense? When we're punishing ourselves, we're feeling terrible that we took the action. In other words, we're feeling terrible about the effect, but we're not addressing the cause. Now, to address the cause takes a lot of more courage than that. Because to address the cause, we've got to notice the things inside of us that are out of harmony with love, or in some cases even what we would call downright evil inside of us, that we need to address and expose. To do that, we need to actually have courage to see ourselves as we truly are. What is our real feeling? So in the moment that caused you to yell and scream at your child, what we need to do is go back to that moment, and just before that moment we felt something. Because without the feeling we would never have yelled and screamed, right? So just before that moment we felt something. What was the thing we felt? And we might realise that we felt that our children are our enemy. We could have felt that we're being controlled by our children. We could have felt that we're being punished by our children. We could have felt, so there could have been lots of different emotions we felt. In that moment, we can then feel what's underneath that, the real cause as to why we got angry. Because every time we're angry, it means we're afraid of something. It means an addiction is not getting met. So our children have to have done something that caused our addiction to not be met, and because we badly want our addiction met and we don't want to face that we are in addiction, we yell at them to get them back under control, right? And so I need to allow myself to feel what it is inside of me that is unloving that triggers the action. I need to go back to the event, revisit it, and actually feel the moment before I took the action, what it was that I was trying to avoid. Does that make sense? When I can feel what it was I was trying to avoid, I now will find that it's related to something completely different than what probably came up with our children. It's often related to something in our own childhood or our own life or in our own current circumstance that we are unhappy about. And what we're doing when we take the action of being angry, we are actually getting the persons in our life who are going to absorb our anger the easiest and dumping our anger on them, which is one of the most unloving things you could ever choose to do, actually. If you're angry with a child, you're actually dumping rage on a child, and a child is the least experienced person to handle it. Now, if I dump my anger on you, you're a grown-up, right? You are more experienced in handling anger, and also you have a sort of a sense of yourself, maybe, in comparison to myself. So you could go, oh, AJ's a bit overboard there, what's going on with him, you know? And you have some method of emotionally coping with the actual rage coming at you. Your children do not. And then we've got to ask ourselves, why is it that we choose our children to be the recipient of our rage rather than someone else, rather than someone who can cope with it? The real question, though, is why do we even get into a rage in the first place? There's got to be an underlying cause. Now, if you focus on finding the underlying cause, praying about the underlying cause, you'll eventually find the underlying cause. When you find the underlying cause, it will always be associated with some grief. When you release the grief, you will no longer ever take the action. You will never yell and scream at them again, under any circumstances. And that's proof that you've found the cause. Does that make sense? If you do find yourself yelling and screaming again sometime in the future, you know for certain you have not yet found the cause. As soon as you find the cause, you will be able to resolve the issue from that point on. What happens, unfortunately, instead, is the majority of us feel the effect, which is, wow, I just got angry. Oh, I feel a bit ashamed of myself. I attacked myself, criticised myself, stupid, man or woman, what did you do that for? You know, and then we apologise to our children, not really meaning it yet, because we still haven't found the cause. We know damn well probably that we're probably going to do it again at this point, because unless we address the cause, we are definitely going to do it again. So rather than saying sorry to our children, I'd say to my children, look, Dad was just really bad then, really bad. Everything that he said, you just need to forget if you can. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus now on never doing that again with you by finding the reason why I feel this way. So rather than saying sorry, hugging them or whatever, I would actually do that. And then I would sincerely address inside of myself the reason why I took the action. Yeah? Whatever that reason is. Yeah? Now, you will find the reason is always associated with something going on in your life, and usually in addition to something that went on in your own childhood. And when you release the grief of that, what will happen is you'll not only from that moment on never need to apologise for it again, because the reality is you'll never do it again from that point on when the real cause is addressed. Now, this also applies to things like, you know, sexual infidelity in a relationship, for example. It's the same principle. Until the person who's committed the infidelity is actually truly finding the cause, the reason why they chose to do that, they will potentially do it again. Saying sorry is pointless at that point. They need to find why they did it, and they need to release inside of themselves why they did it. Once they do that, they'll never be able to do it again, ever. But until they do that, they will be able to repeat the action. And that's the problem that we have faced. Many times what we do is we correct the effect. We feel bad about the effect, but we don't want to or have a sincere desire to address the cause. And because of that, we continue doing the same thing over and over again. So if I find myself doing the same thing over and over again, I stop apologising for doing it. I tell myself firstly that I must want to do it, and therefore I must have a fairly big fear driving my desire to do it. And then I look at what I'm afraid of, what it is that drives my desire to do something that's unloving. Yep. And that applies with my children or with anybody else. Yep. You understand?
Actually, I don't feel equipped to answer this point, so I'm asking it as a question. It's about the true meaning of repentance and saying sorry, what it really means when I am sorry. So you talked about connecting to the cause. Obviously, if I'm just self-punishing, going, yep, sorry, I'm a bad person, and I might even feel I see the harm that I've caused in you, and I might...
But not enough to address the cause.
That's right. So I have a response to that, but because I'm afraid of the cause, I just go sorry and self-punish. So my question is about the connection to your pain. So when I'm truly going to be sorry, I'm going to have the courage to find the cause. But there's also going to be something about your pain in there, isn't
yes.
there?
You'll have the courage to feel completely the pain of what you've caused. So in other words, you'll have the courage to feel completely, if it was to your children, the courage to feel completely your children's pain when they get yelled at. You'll have, if it's to do with infidelity in a relationship, you'll have the courage to feel completely the other party, the injured parties, if you like, or the party that was innocent in the infidelity. You'll have the courage to feel their pain of the betrayal of the relationship. You will have the courage to actually feel it and experience it, feel it as a feeling. When you have the courage to feel it as a feeling, you have the courage to face the truth. When you have the courage to face the truth of any situation, you will always eventually find its cause. If you don't have the courage to face the truth of any situation, you will never find its cause, ever. And you will continue, and you're destined to continue repeating the pattern until you want to find the cause. That's how it is with all of our life. Yeah. Does that make sense?